Welcome to the Numerology and Astrology for November 19th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Wagner. Thank you for joining me. We are on an eclipse day. Here we go. But let's start with the numerology. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 17. And if you add the 1 and the 7 together, you get the number 8. Now, the number 8 is a number of death. It is the number of grief and loss. And eclipses have a tendency to herald in some sort of death of an old way, death of an old belief system, death of an old structure. So today, because we've got the eclipses going on and everything, let's let the 8 tell us that life is about learning to breathe deeply into the good, but also breathe in deeply into the bad that happens in life. Too often when bad things happen, we hold our breath. Too often we forget to let out the intense emotions that are associated with trauma. Holding on to people, situations, and circumstances from the past is the basis for the Buddhist concept of attachment, and attachment is the basis from which suffering occurs. In life, things do not always go in the way the mind wants or planned. We have to learn to accept that regardless of if we get the outcome we wanted. There is no backwards in life. There is only forwards. Sometimes in going forward, we discover that the universe does bring us back around to something. In a healthy individual, there is more neutrality and a healthy acceptance. Then when things come around, they understand that completion holds acceptance and understanding of all the players that participated in this lesson. We can see our own part in that journey and recognize that the outcome was the intended outcome for our growth and karmic lessons. The astrology today. The eclipse is showing up in the early morning hours. It is in the sign of Taurus, and it wants us to look towards those things in the physical world that help us manifest security and more comfort. I believe that we are all tired of so much insanity and constant upset. We are learning to have some healthy boundaries by drawing lines as to what we are willing to take and what we are not. We can make things change by our determined stance and a strong no within our psyche. There is the beginning of a long string of eclipses that will last until October of 2023 in the Taurus Scorpio trajectory. And while this is the first one, it is a chance to push us in the right direction for improving our lot in life. For some, the discontent has reached a peak, and enough is enough. This eclipse is going to bring up some very strong emotions. Impulsivity is on the rise, and be aware that something small that could be the last straw for another. We might notice feeling tightly wound up on the inside. That did not happen overnight. It has been building up for a very long time. We want more freedom and fun. We want more passion and real connection. We may find that a lot of things need to go. Many situations are going to trigger massive turning points in our perspective and lives. What arises was destined and fated. The scales will officially tip into a new experience. Eclipses have forever heralded something new and unexpected. This one throws your higher calling into the limelight. Our fate is stalking us from the shadows and will force us to make a choice. This one requires some new and solid boundaries. We learn boundaries when we have embraced who we truly are inside and what we are willing to fight for. This eclipse makes us look at the fact that relationships take two people. If one wants something and the other doesn't, no amount of pressure or bullying will make the other shift. Often the one holding the boundary is the one that knows themselves better and has more self-respect and internal clarity. The word relationship requires agreement between two or more. We will notice that there are those that we choose to not be in relationship with. Some may get angry and push against those boundaries. Some may try manipulative techniques of guilt and shame to break us or to get us to acquiesce. But we have to learn to evolve by accepting the boundaries of others for better or worse. This eclipse shows us that we are on a rocket ship of change and we do not have time to play the ego games of others, nor will we want to. There is a square between the moon and Jupiter. It adds a determination and insistence to our choices at this time. While this can lead to those that want to inflate situations and pull them out of proportion, it would be wise to sit with something and contemplate the long-term impact before making a powerful choice. These astrological aspects can solidly pit one side against another. That will become clear today. There are those that want a peaceful world and those that want to breed trauma drama and live in a crisis-oriented state of being. The latter is exhausting and is not sustainable. Notice if you want to constantly fight just for the sake of fighting. Perhaps there's a better way to channel passion. Feelings that have not matured and have instead lingered are suspect, because the choice to change is always the mature choice. Know that such powerful forces manifest as a tug of war within. There is a strong experience of upsets and disruptions today. Know that some people may go overboard because of the Venus-Sun square. This can make some be very productive and others less happy. As the morning progresses, the moon will go into Gemini. I hope this adds some curiosity and some better flexibility to the situations. And I did not do a quote today because I've been doing so much on the eclipse, but also here's my blog for today. Are we tired enough of those who assault our senses? I am tired of those who relentlessly pursue what they demand with no regard to the feelings and sensibilities of others. We are in a world that is a free will zone. That means everyone gets to choose. They get to choose what they want to be their direction in life. They get to choose who they associate with because of those choices. People are not making those choices to hurt others. It is just what they choose. And all choices are small stepping stones towards the life we're trying to create and want to live. And all those choices manifest consequences that we will have to learn to live and deal with. I recognize that many will not choose what I choose. And that's really okay with me on all levels. I know that we are all down here to learn how in the physical world choices have consequences and we cannot often see them until later. I have learned and grown greatly by making powerful choices that did work and some that did not give me the outcome I thought. I would never stop someone from experimenting with those choices. As a human community, we allow others to discover many things all the time. And while we can have an opinion, the truth is that we have a very limited control over this plane of existence or the choices of others. I have learned that being a psychic, that just because I can see the path of least resistance for another, that does not mean that even if I explain it to them again and again, that they will step onto that path, because we all need to learn by doing and acting out and through those emotional impulses that assault our senses. I learned to follow the particular intuitive impulses inside myself by making the mistake and not listening. Instead, I decided to solely do what my ego wanted, and wow, what a terrible outcome that manifested. I learned that doing that led to more pain and suffering, not less. After doing that plenty of times and allowing my ego to make choices rather than my essence, I finally learned that listening and doing what the guides and angels suggested and did what was right showed me the path of less suffering and more happiness and contentment. I learned to let go and trust the universe. I learned that I have much less control than my ego wants to believe. I learned that listening and following the flow of life brings us to a different understanding. One does not need to be separate and special, but one that makes us a part of something much greater than the self. Thanks, everyone.